Hello and welcome back to The Give and Go. I am your co-host Reynoso here with my boy
Soltero. What's up, guys?
And we're just going to continue rolling out these deep dives, man. We're not stopping. We're not stopping. And today's lucky draw, today's lucky selection is the Senegalese national team that resides in Africa. Senegal is back in the tournament after a wild, laser-filled penalty shootout against Egypt in the World Cup qualifiers that eventually led to them qualifying for this prestigious World Cup. They are now back. They were last year in 2018, and they had a pretty disappointing group exit. Prior to that, the only other time that they had qualified for the tournament was in 2002 when they actually made it all the way to the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Also, did you know Turkey made it to the semifinals of a World Cup?
Is that true?
Yeah, because Turkey
In
defeated
2002?
Senegal in 2002 in the quarterfinals.
Wow.
A Senegal-Turkey matchup led to Turkey being in the semifinal and eventually losing to Brazil.
Turkey was in a semifinal.
Turkey was in a semifinal, bro.
Oh my god. Do you know? Do we know the score of the Turkey-Senegal game? Was it close?
Oh, I think that one
was it at least close?
I think it might have gone to penalties. If not, it was a one-goal game. I do remember that. From
so
what
it was
I saw.
tight.
It was tight.
Oh
it was
my
tight. Either team
God.
could have gone through.
So Senegal could have made very close to doing a semifinal appearance
In their debut World Cup too.
Wow,
that's crazy.
That's
man.
crazy.
Something was.
There's a lot weird in that.
A lot of weird shit in
result-wise.
2002, man.
Yeah.
2002. But part of that 2002 squad was Senegal's manager, Aliou Cisse, who was a part of that team. Yep. He then continues his career and eventually becomes the head coach for Senegal around 2016, qualifies him for the 2018 World Cup. And in that World Cup, they had a somewhat disappointing performance with them having a group stage exit. And then kind of just looking forward to what's in the future for them because this Senegalese team has shown promise time and time again. They went through a dark time in those late 2000s, but they were able to go through like a 10-year resurgence of just fixing up their facilities, putting their players at good academies, and really building a good program to breed talent out of. You pair that with their impressive AFCON victory back in early January, February of this year. This year, yeah. You pair that with a trophy, a victory, and it's safe to assume that people from Senegal are somewhat high on this team, somewhat hopeful. And not just them, but a lot of world football fans are kind of marking Senegal as a potential dark horse in this tournament because of the talent they have at hand with so many players now being in these European academies, but also with what they showed at the AFCON tournament, being able to just win these important matches, grind out results, and ultimately not really get tested in a way that would scare you as a Senegal fan. They managed to get that result against Egypt, and they did it once again in the World Cup qualifying playoffs. Yeah. And so they kind of, in a way, asserted their dominance over the feistiest opponent in Africa. They find themselves now in Group A with tournament hosts Qatar, South American squad Ecuador, and European, you could say giants, Netherlands.
When I think about Senegal, when I hear the word Senegal, I go back to 2018 when they were in a really interesting group with Japan, Colombia, and Poland. A group where I was like, oh, this is Senegal's chance. It's their first World Cup in 16 years at the time. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, this is Senegal's chance to show themselves in the modern era of football and show the world what they can do because I was high on Senegal going in that tournament, man. And they hadn't even won an AFCON yet at that time. And I had predicted Senegal to get out of that group, but not just get out, but kind of easily get out. I knew the games were going to be tricky, but I really didn't see Senegal losing to any of those other three teams. But ultimately, they really did fall short. And the thing is, you could say that about every other African team at 2018 FIFA World Cup. It was really bad. The first time that no African side had ever gotten out of the group stage. So that was really, really bad. All five just group stage exits, terrible. And Senegal was unfortunately a part of that. I was so disappointed, man, because they still had good talent. A lot of the players that we're about to feature here in the 2022 were there in 2018. And maybe that kind of foreshadows what I think might happen in 2022. The way I see this team now, man, just a lot more experienced. And I think it shows with the fact that they won their continental tournament this past January in 2022. And kind of like you said, yes, they didn't get fully tested. But for me, every time they went out on the pitch, they were the better team. I think Egypt gave it everything that they could. And even in spells, Egypt might have been the better team. But over the course of 90 minutes and all the three, essentially, if you want to say them, finals that Senegal played Egypt in, Senegal ultimately came out on top. Every time it was super tight on penalties both times, but it is what it is. I think Senegal ultimately deserved to be here. For me, out of the 5 that are going to this World Cup, Senegal are the best and most talented African team. So I'm once again, as I was in 2018, I am excited about the Senegalese team going into 2022.
No, yeah, I completely agree. This is the most dangerous African team at this tournament, but it's just kind of crazy as a football fan to see the rise of Senegal in that sense, because this is only their 3rd World Cup appearance. That's not much, man. Cameroon's made like nearly 10.
Yeah.
Nigeria's almost always involved in a World Cup. There's been other African teams that have been at the helm representing the continent, but this time it's Senegal, man. And so that is exciting in a way as just a fan of the sport to know that the Confederation is being represented by a team that usually doesn't represent it in that sense. Now we also have a superstar player up front with Sadio Mane leading the lines for this team, and bringing home that AFCON trophy was huge for him, his legacy, and this team. There's so many questions entering this tournament, but the biggest one will be, can he take this team on a magical run similar to that of the one in 2002.
Yeah, and that's actually so interesting that you bring that up, because you're absolutely spot on, man. I mean, you're right. Nigeria, Cameroon, as you just said. I remember like 2010, 2014, Ivory Coast were like highly
Ghana.
rated.
Yeah.
Ghana too. Yeah, obviously in 2010, man, you're right. Yeah, so there's so many other West African teams that were truly rated in those 2010, 2014, even 2018 World Cups. But now it's Senegal, not just in narrative, but seriously on the pitch. And we'll see when we get to those players. But again, I just want to re-highlight him. I think the mastermind behind all of this is Aliou Cissé. That appointment might be one of the best appointments in all of national football in the last 6-8 years, because he has managed to take this Senegal team and make them truly, truly competitive. And even when the game is really, really tight, somehow, some way, Senegal have managed to find a way to grind out a result.
Yeah, man.
And the thing is, I think that ability is what's going to make them very difficult to play against for any team at this World Cup.
So now that we've analyzed the history and the build-up for the Senegalese team going into the tournament, let's look at their squad, man.
Let's see what Cissé has at his disposal.
Yeah. Cissé's little playground, man, of options.
Toolbox.
So many European talents, bro.
Oh,
so many.
dude.
In the back, I think the biggest standout for me has to be the presence of ex-Napoli, now Chelsea defender Kalidou Koulibaly has found himself a captaining position here at Senegal. He is one of the leaders in that back line, and he's the one that kind of keeps things intact and in charge back there. And it's why they've been able to stay in so many games, because of his presence for the most part, followed up with all the other good players, solid players that are around him. Koulibaly, for me, is one of the biggest factors that's going to dictate the success of Senegal in this tournament.
Oh, dude, absolutely. What's that classic quote? Offense wins you games, but defense wins you titles. And I think this exactly applies to Senegal. Even though you have Sadio Mane up top, I think how good Koulibaly plays at this tournament is going to determine how far Senegal actually go. He's the leader at this back, and at his peak, Koulibaly is one of the best center backs in the world.
I agree.
I think the only thing I'm a little worried about is his current form. You could say this about a lot of Chelsea players, man. Everyone's just a little off, just a little bit. And I think Koulibaly's one of those. I think Koulibaly kind of peaked maybe 2 years ago when he was just going off at Napoli, and he had such a high price tag, so it was really hard to take him away. And 2 years later, I think he's still an incredible center back, but I do think he's just a little bit out of form. But regardless, he'll suit up for the Senegal team this year, and he's going to show up.
Yeah,
he's going to show up.
It's crazy because this whole take that we just had for Kalidou Koulibaly, I feel like we can say the exact same thing about Edouard Mendy.
Yeah.
In the sense that he had his peak a couple years ago as well, going crazy for the Chelsea in that Champions League victory. Yeah. He's one of the best in his position when he's on it, but he also just plays for Chelsea. And not just that, he's a little out of form to start the season. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
With both of them, I have a security that when it comes time for that national team duty, when it comes time to, having lunch and you got Sadio Mane sitting across from you, you got Aliou Cissé whispering in your ear, you just start to get into that mode, into that zone. I have no doubt that they'll be able to find their best form at the World Cup once it comes time.
Yeah, there'll be so much at stake, and they'll know that this is going to be literally a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity because unlike other teams like Spain, Portugal, England, it's a lot harder for these African teams to maintain consistency over the course of several decades. So these players know that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So I have no doubt in my mind that these two big players at the back for Senegal are going to show up. But that's the thing, dude. You just say the names, Koulibaly, Mendy. That's the type of quality that Senegal has in this defense, man. This could take them really, really far. But here's the fucking problem, man. Here's the fucking problem.
What's wrong? Let me help you.
Literally 3 weeks ago, you asked me how I'm feeling about the Senegal team. 3 weeks ago, I would have said really, really good things. Cut to where we are right now, man, and there's some injuries in this back line. Oh, yeah. There's some absences that could actually really hurt this Senegalese team. Let's go to the fullback positions, man. If everyone was healthy, you'd have Bayern Munich Bouna Sarr, who made his career with that really good Marseille team and then got that big move to Bayern Munich. And then on the other side, you had Youssouf Sabaly for Real Betis, who is having a pretty good season this year, and he got acquired, I think, last year. And he's been good for Real Betis when he does play, but he's got a knock. And he may or may not be healthy in these next coming weeks.
It's going to get tight.
But it's going to get tight. That injury schedule is going to get tight. And then the left back that did start for them in the World Cup qualifiers against Egypt and in the final, Saliou Ciss, he's a free agent right now. He doesn't have a club.
So he's looking for a job.
He's looking for a job, bro. And Aliou Cisse is like, shit, like my boy's out of form. Literally.
He's been at the national team headquarters since like AFCON, bro. He hasn't even moved.
He hasn't moved, man. So it's just that's really, really bad news, honestly. Because in both fullback positions, Cisse has no options now. Yeah. So over this last international break, he called up Formose Mendy, I think a player who plays somewhere in France. I don't exactly remember. Amiens, yeah. And he got his debut literally 2 weeks ago.
God damn it, dude. That can't be what Senegal has.
That's what they're going to have to rely on, man. And that sucks because, dude, if Bouna Sarr was fit,
that's a huge
huge miss, man. Huge. And again, Sabaly was finding his form in Spain. There was really good potential for Senegal to have a complete back line. Now that's, for me, gone. It's gone, bro. Yeah. And I think it's really going to hurt them, especially if they make it later into the tournament. Of course, you still have Koulibaly, but even then, I don't think Cisse really knows who his partner is going to be. He's used Papa Abou Cisse, and he's also used Diallo as well. Yeah. I think those two are good options, but obviously they're nowhere near the quality of Koulibaly. So this is going to come down to Koulibaly completely guiding that back line. Dude, it's going to be up to him.
And it's just a little scary because you look at who they drew in the World Cup, and it's pretty offensive-minded teams, or teams that are going to come at you, man.
Oh, dude, true.
Netherlands, bro.
Oh, God.
Netherlands is who you're stacked up against. Ecuador, who's shown that they're not scared to go up against that big team, very feisty team. And Qatar, who's going to have the host, who's going to have the nation at the games backing them in every single game. So they got to figure out the security back there right off the bat, man. Hopefully, Koulibaly has a lot of pressure here, and Mendy as well. They're going to have to almost like put him through a crash course of dealing with the pressure and the stakes that are going to be at hand for the Senegalese team come World Cup time, man.
Low key, and I know Cisse won't do it because if there is a criticism for Cisse, it's hard for him to change his mind on tactics. Remember how he had a conversation with one of our Senegalese fans, and he was saying how Cisse, even though he has gotten them to these qualifications of the World Cup, even though he did bring Senegal silverware in the AFCON, there's still a little bit of criticism on some of his squad selections because he really doesn't change a lot of his style, his formations, or his starting 11. So ultimately, I don't know how Cisse is going to line up these fullback positions, or honestly, who he's going to go with to pair with Koulibaly. In a way, I kind of wonder if Cisse is thinking about playing some of his wingers in these fullback positions because a lot of his forward players, a lot of the players that play out wide, he's chosen for a long time. He's mainly called up the same type of players, or actually these same players. So I wonder if instead of playing, for example, like Formose Mendy, who literally just made his debut, would he think of maybe playing other wingers in those positions? But it also gets tough because Cisse, as a coach, really doesn't like to touch his team. He doesn't like to change his tactics, and I can respect that. But that also might be maybe a critique you could say of Aliou Cisse, just in general when it comes to how he approaches the game. at the end of the day, he's got a big puzzle to figure out here when it comes to this back line for Senegal.
Yeah, and I think something that's in a way haunted, you could say African teams, CONCACAF teams, any team outside of CONMEBOL or UEFA, is their lack of risk. Oftentimes, they try to play things too safe. They try to just be a formidable team, be strong in what they believe, and have that be it. Cisse might have a chance here to take an absolute risk in the fullback positions, and it won't even, not even that big a risk because it's a risk that he might have to take, given that he doesn't have many options. Could it be something that ends up rewarding him, man? Could it end up being something that maybe whoever he puts in that position just shows incredible potential and security there, and he finds his answer right away? Whereas if he goes with someone like Formos Mendy, who, yes, he that's the position he plays, but he's so inexperienced, man. He's so inexperienced. That might come back to bite him.
Exactly, man. And that's actually a good point because, so for example, Crépin Diatta made his name at Club Brugge, got that move to Monaco. He's a good player, and he's good when he's out wide. The thing is yes, he is not getting that many minutes at Monaco, but he's in the training, he's playing with high-quality players, and he's good wide. So you wonder, if you're really thin in those fullback positions, maybe put a guy like Diatta back there if you don't want to risk playing a guy who's too forward-thinking. But it's interesting, though. Will he take that risk? I don't know. But another point that brings up, man, it really shows you, because we've been talking about Brazil, Argentina, Spain, Belgium. It really shows you how important depth is at these type of tournaments, man. You lose one player, your dreams are done. Potentially, right? So it gets really finicky because every player's position is a lot more valuable for these teams that don't have the same type of depth as their European or South American counterparts.
You look up front in their midfield, and it's a little bit more secure in that sense, with more health involved and really good quality as well. I think for me, the starting three would be Idrissa Gana Gueye, Mendy, and Kouyaté.
Okay,
You agree with me on that?
I agree with you on two of those. I think Nampalys Mendy, Leicester player, who's not having a great season.
No one is that team right now.
No one
is,
but he has been kind of scouted out by other bigger teams. I think Chelsea actually was trying to get Mendy at one point. So he is a good player in that center of the park position. He can give you a lot of solidity. And then as you just said, Idrissa Gana Gueye, I think, will pair up alongside him. Gana Gueye has been the go-to midfielder for Senegal for a decade now at this point, man. Ever since he was at Everton, going to PSG. Now he's back at home with Everton once again. So I think there's a lot of solidity when you put Mendy and Gana Gueye alongside each other in that midfield. Now, that third choice, I think Cisse does have some room to play with here. Kouyaté is a safe choice. I think that's the safest choice to play. My only problem with that selection is that Kouyaté is a little past it for me, man. He's 32 years old, but for me, he hasn't aged that well. There's a lot of other 32-year-olds that still have a lot of their quality. I think Kouyaté's form has severely dipped, not just a little, but that's what I have to say about Kouyaté. No offense, I just think he has not aged well, man. So putting Kouyaté is a really safe bet in terms of just legacy, what the name means for Senegal, because in his prime he was fucking phenomenal, but I don't think he's anywhere near the player that he once was. So I think Cisse has some room to play with here in these friendlies against Iran and Bolivia. He actually did play Crépin Diatta in that position. Now, the thing is with Diatta, he's not getting minutes at Monaco, so that in itself is a risk. Do you play a player who's not playing that much, but is still, in form, maybe athletically? That's where it gets interesting. But Diatta's a worker too, so you can get good minutes out of him. But another player that could be very interesting to see, a guy who just got his call-up, Pathé Ciss, our boy.
I was waiting for my turn, bro. I was waiting for my turn to talk.
Our boy.
Let me make the case for Pathé Ciss.
Yeah, man.
My boy finally got the call up, and every time that I've seen Rayo Vallecano this year, he has shined, man. He has shined. He had a hot start to the season, slowed down a little bit, didn't even start some games, but hey, we're not looking at that. We're not looking at that. He's at a much better age. I believe he's like in his prime years. 27.
Yeah, he's like 28 or something.
He's not in that 32 Kouyaté range, but I think he can fit into any place in this midfield wherever it's needed, man. Aliou Cisse, taking a risk, man. Take a risk on my boy Pathé Ciss, man. I love how this guy plays. He's so intelligent on the ball, but he's controlled. He can be stable for you. I think he gives you exactly what you need. And if Senegal has room for him, then I say put him in.
Yeah, I completely agree, because I think in that third spot, you need a little bit of craftiness, man. Mendy and Gana Gueye aren't going to give you that. They're just going to give you precision and good defensive mindedness, which is great. But if you want a little bit of craft, You could play a guy like Pate Cis. I think that's what he's trying to go for with Diatta. Diatta has a little bit more of a resume than Cis, which is why I think he's getting the nod. But man, if Cis can just really show up in training,
a late bloomer, bro.
Late bloomer.
Be crazy
bro.
if he starts that first game. Considering he hasn't really started a game since the past year. But we could say a number of players can potentially do that for Senegal, which is a little bit disappointing. Because it's a bit of a different team than what won the AFCON, man. Mm-hmm. Midfield, Idrissa Gana Gueye, Mendy, and then whoever Cisse finds.
I think whoever Cisse finds. Again, any of those 3-4 players that we just highlighted, I think can honestly have a shout. They're going to be emailing Aliou Cisse's, hey man, I just got an assist this week. That spot is up for grabs.
Yeah. And I think there's something similar up top, but there's 2 of 3 spots secured in my opinion.
Agreed.
With Ismail Assar from Watford, he's been flipping back and forth between the Championship and the Premier League for basically his whole career, man. But he's shown promise in both those leagues that he knows how to score his goals, man. He knows how to create opportunities. He's dangerous, man.
So fast.
He did it against the biggest teams in the Prem, and he's doing it now in the Championship once again.
Yeah.
You look over and you have Senegalese legend, Liverpool legend, and now current Bayern Munich star Sadio Mane leading the front line, leading the team emotionally, being that poster boy for the country of Senegal, winning so many trophies, winning the biggest of trophies, the biggest of achievements, and being a crucial part of what was a energetic and high-flying Liverpool side. That's who you got on your right wing, just waiting to score goals for you. And you saw it in the AFCON tournament with how his presence and his impact guided them to that AFCON final. Sadio Mane has it all, man. He has it absolutely all. And the only thing I'm curious about is who are they going to be feeding in that center striker position? There's a bit of a switcheroo going on here with what I've seen Cisse do in the selections. Yeah. Oftentimes he'll start Diédhiou up front and he'll take care of business. He'll score those goals for you, but also Dia being up there as well. So I just haven't seen a secure number 9 for Senegal up to this point. Regardless of who it's going to be, they're not going to be able to be up to the quality of Ismail Assar or Sadio Mane. Unless they can get hot and have themselves a hell of a tournament and match up to those qualities of those players, then there's that chance. But I do feel like they lack a little bit, a little bit when it comes to that position.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I think if you look at that front 3, the weakest link is that number 9 position. Regardless of who ends up going hot or who ends up starting there, even if they're in good form, they're going to be the weakest link in that front 3. But even though Cisse has been alternating between his strikers and who he actually goes with in that top number 9 position, I think the guy who ends up starting in that spot is going to be Boulaye Dia. Technically speaking, he's the most talented number 9. Very good on the ball, just not the best finisher when he gets these open chances. It's something that really plagued him when he was at Villarreal. Man, dude, when he went to Villarreal, and I saw like his first touch, I was like, oh, this guy's good. And I had so much hope for him because I was like, this could be a guy who pops the fuck off in La Liga. He had so much potential, man, but it just didn't work out. He just couldn't find his full self in that Villarreal front line, and ultimately just literally didn't work out. Now he's in the Serie A with Salernitana, a team that just got promoted. So yeah, Boulaye Dia from a career standpoint is going through a weird time, but still, the rest of what's available for Senegal in that position, there's just not much, man. There's a lot of pressure for Dia to be that number 9, to be that scorer. But the thing is, he does have the talent, man. He does. I know he does.
Man?
No,
you
dude, he does. Absolutely. I'm a big fan of what he can do.
He's going to have Sar and Mane just bombing, dancing on the wings, bro. And he's going to see that ball coming his way from the fucking side of the field. He's like, fuck, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Shit. It's going to get to his feet.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that when it gets to his feet, he'll just find magic?
I think so. I actually do think so because this is his moment, man. As I kind of said before, for a lot of these players, this is it. This is truly it. Within the next 4 years, Dia might not even be playing football no more, man. Who knows? So that's the thing. Dia's going to take this chance. And for me, with the type of quality he's playing at with Salernitana, it's obviously so different when you have Sar and Mane on either side. And I think Dia's going to take that opportunity to rise to the occasion. Okay. Yeah, it's going to help him. He's going to rise to the occasion, and actually he's going to reach a level that he probably can't reach when he's playing at club level. Okay. And that's the beauty of international football is that the player that you are at club level does not have to be that same level you are at international stage. You can rise above and do something crazy. And I think Diaw has that opportunity. And I know he has the skill set. Obviously, he hasn't shown it. But, I mean, what? You play 3 games in the group stage? Three games?
3 games.
You can show up.
Yeah.
And I think Diaw has that perfect opportunity to do so. But, man, talking about Mane, you got me thinking.
Yeah.
You know, what Messi was for Argentina in the mid-2010s, what James Rodriguez was for Colombia in 2014, what Mo Salah has been for Egypt. Sadio Mane is that for Senegal right now going into 2022. He has a nation on his shoulders, but what I love about Mane is that he's proud to do it.
Yeah,
Dude,
he embraces
proud.
it,
He
man.
embraces,
really embraces it.
He doesn't let the pressure get to him because he knows at the end of the day, what he's doing for Senegal is already history. And all he can do is just see how far he can go. And that's beautiful, man. If you think about all those other players, there was true pressure. And here there's a lot of pressure too. But, man, he's just so happy to represent his country of Senegal at this World Cup. And you know he's just going to show up because that's what Mane does. The happiest footballer alive, man.
Dude, I think it was so telling that after he won the AFCON final, when that reporter went up to him and asked him, you know, you've won everything in your career, a Champions League, a Premier League. How does this trophy compare to those trophies? Yeah. And he said that this is the happiest he's ever been in his life, bro. An AFCON trophy. And that's no disrespect to AFCON, but just in terms of pedigree, you would think that a Champions League trophy would get you more. But it's the element of the international football, man.
Yes.
You know, representing your country. Going back to Dakar and bringing that trophy back to your fans. The streets are full, flooded with people, just happy to have something to feel victorious about. That in itself is a beautiful fucking thing, man. And I think Sadio Mane low-key might have gotten it. Like, he wants that feeling again, man. He's itching for that. Like,
I think he's hungry.
Like, bro, imagine what I could do if I actually brought us back a World Cup, man. I know that he's the type of player that's going to give it his absolute all when it comes time to that tournament. Yeah. Like, scaringly, he's going to give it his absolute all. He's such a fighter. He's such a warrior in the way he plays. And no matter what the quality of the rest of the team is, no matter what, if there's injuries, who gives a fuck? That's how Mane's thinking. He's like, I'm just here to do the best I can. And if that's what it takes, then that's what it fucking takes, man. And I love that, man.
I love that.
That's the same thing. That's what puts him in that same category of conversation as like the relationship of Messi and Argentina, Ronaldo and Portugal. Mane and Senegal are synonymous with each other because of the effort he puts behind every performance for that team. So we now have Senegal here as the most dangerous African team at this tournament. Yeah. They're in Group A with Ecuador, Netherlands, and Qatar. It's a very feisty group, a group that could see basically any team go out of it, really, with how talented all these teams are. What is your ultimate prediction for Senegal in this World Cup?
Yeah, for me, Senegal as a whole, and especially when I compare them to the rest of the African nations that are at this World Cup, I think Senegal are the most complete team. Pound for pound in every single position, they're the most complete team. And for that reason, I had Senegal going pretty far, being a dark horse that like a lot of people had. I had Senegal being a dark horse in this tournament. But man, the exclusions of their starting fullbacks is scaring me, man. That's two of your back four. That's half of your back line gone. Yeah. And the backups, it's a big dip in quality. And at a certain point, your midfielders and your offensive line can only do so much. Even Koulibaly, right? He can't go out wide and cover for his fullback every single time. He's gonna have to stay positionally aware and just be smart, right? And that can get Senegal really, really far. But I don't know if it's just Bouna Sarr out. Then I can still say that I think Senegal will go very, very far in this tournament. And far, I'm talking probably a quarterfinal appearance. I really do think so. I think for sure I do see Senegal getting out of this group regardless of who's injured or who's in. I do see Senegal getting out of the group stage. But from there, man, I truly don't know. It's just going to be on how good and formed their players are and who's injured and who's not for me.
The injuries are scary, man.
Scary.
I also had somewhat high hopes for the Senegalese team as well going into the tournament, especially after seeing them lift up that AFCON trophy. I immediately thought, okay, this is a team to take serious, like a potential dark horse candidate even to win the whole tournament. Yeah. The injuries scare me. The decision making I've been seeing so far from Aliou Cisse, I'm not 100% on board with. I'm thinking about that group, man. I'm thinking about that group and the teams in it. I ultimately do have Senegal coming out of the group. I have Senegal coming out in second, but bro, that match against Ecuador is going to be a lot tighter now than what it once was 3 months ago.
I think so.
That match is going to define the group, in my opinion.
Yeah. And one positive I actually will give Senegal, because it has surprised me every single game, and it really shouldn't anymore. Dude, their ability to just fight. I've never seen Senegal get dominated. Like even in the
you're right.
Even
actually,
in
you're right.
Even in 2018, even though they didn't get out of the group stage, they fought in every single game they were in. Since 2018, I have never seen Senegal truly struggle, get blown out, or even lose by 2 goals.
That's
man,
a good point.
That's something that I truly do have to compliment on these players. And maybe I'm actually underselling Senegal here, because now that I think about it, Sadio Mane, when he did lift the trophy with Senegal in that AFCON final, he was playing in the 2nd division. And they were still able to play against, top teams.
Wow.
And so maybe Cisse has a really good mentality with these players. And he says, no matter what happens, we can play against anybody. And if you have that type of mentality going into every single game, Senegal might even surprise me here. And so it's hard to count them out. I really do think so.
No, it is.
And I still have them getting out of the group stage for sure. But you're right. Once you get in that round of 16, man, anything could happen at that point, especially with a team like Senegal, because again, they will fight.
Yeah.
No matter who they play, they will fight as hard as they can. And I think that Senegal is probably their best attribute.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at who they could potentially face in that round of 16, if they get out in second, then they will face off against England if England wins first. That in itself could be a moment of a golden opportunity to maybe pounce on a team that might underestimate them.
Yeah.
And same goes for if it's the other way around. If Senegal gets first, they could face off against a USA, a Wales, and those are teams that they can go head to head. Yeah, they can go head to head against those. So if you're Senegalese, you got yourself a tournament to look forward to, man.
I think so,
Whatever
man.
it is going into it, this is going to be such an interesting wild card, bro.
Yeah.
The Senegalese national team is going to Qatar, and who knows what the fuck is happening, bro. And that is Senegal, folks. That's what we got for you. Fun team to talk about.
Yeah.
One of the most dangerous teams in Africa. And we'd love to know, what do you guys think about the Senegalese team? How far are they going to go in the tournament? And also, what players stand out to you? Because there are a lot of players that we also didn't mention that we'd love to know more insight and more information about. And as always, keep up with us, because we will be posting deep dives on every team in this World Cup leading up to the tournament. So make sure to subscribe, to like, to comment, and to stay involved with the Give and Go community. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.